Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome back. The EQ Skills Clinic. One of my absolute favorite times of the week is to be here with you inside of this group, teaching, coaching, engaging. So, if this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. And we've had quite a few new members to the EQ Lab recently as well. And I am so proud and I'm so grateful that we have reached, I think, just over 1,000 members this week. We reached 1,000 members a little earlier this week. And I want to start off by just saying thank you so much for being here with me inside of this incredible community that I started and opened up just about a year ago. So it's been an incredible journey and an incredible ride. I have really enjoyed growing this community with you. So if it is your first time here, I want to welcome you. I'm the founder of the EQ Lab, which is this Facebook community. My name is Dr. Shamala. I'm a podcast host, media expert for national television, and I am the founder of the EQ Code. The EQ Code is my private 6-month group coaching program. It is really an incubator to help high-powered women access the emotional intelligence skills that they need to unlock success, both personally and professionally. I've spent 2 decades working in mental health as a registered psychotherapist and a registered couple and family therapist. I have moved away from that aspect of my work and my professional life. I'm still the very proud founder of the Kiru Psychotherapy Clinic, but I spend most of my time now working very specifically in coaching and training and equipping high-powered women to show up powerfully in every area of their lives. That was a mouthful. So if this is your first time here, let me know. Drop an emoji, drop a hello. I know many of you catch the replay. So if you have been with me for a while and you are catching the replay, give me a hashtag replay, say hello. I always circle back near the end of the day and I have a look at each and every comment. And I am so grateful for each and every one of you that helps to really build this community. This community really is made up of each and every one of you, your comments, your support, your feedback, your questions, your energy, everything that you bring to this space. So I want to make sure that you know how much we value and appreciate you being here. The EQ Skills Clinic is a weekly live teaching that I do every Thursday at 10 a.m. Stay tuned until the end because I'm going to tell you why next Thursday I will not be doing the EQ Skills Clinic because we are going to be offering a free 5-day live event. So just make sure you stay until the end so that you can hear the details of that event if you haven't yet registered. Typically, what happens on a weekly basis is I rotate through different aspects of emotional intelligence. We look at mindset skills, we look at communication skills, we look at advanced relationship management skills, and we look at leadership skills. Today, we are going to be focusing specifically on relationship management skills or relationship skills. Relationship skills are such a core and critical part of our emotional intelligence. They have an incredibly strong impact in terms of not only how we show up in our lives and how we show up in our relationships, but they also have a really strong impact on our level of success and our level of satisfaction. So, the interesting thing about emotional intelligence, the interesting thing about how we navigate our relationships is we know the evidence shows, the research shows that when we are equipped to navigate our relationships from a place of confidence and with ease, we actually experience greater satisfaction in our lives. Right? So, as we learn how to navigate our relationships with confidence and with ease, we also experience a greater sense, a greater level, a greater experience of satisfaction in our overall lives. If that resonates with you, I want you to let me know. If you're joining me here inside the EQ Lab, you can drop a comment, you can drop an emoji. I want you to let me know if that concept of relationship confidence, relationship ease, relationship satisfaction also allows you to experience a greater sense of satisfaction in other aspects of your life. Today, we're going to be focusing specifically on the idea of risk and reward in relationships. That's a lot of R words. Let me say that again. Today, we're going to be focusing on risk and reward in relationships, risk and reward. That's what we're going to be looking at. And the reason we're going to look at this concept of risk and this concept of reward together is because I deeply believe that in order to have a rewarding, fulfilling, thriving, next level relationship, we have to take risks. Right? In order to have a fulfilling, thriving, really elevate, if you want to have relationships that are elevated, if you're looking for more than just relationships that are okay, we get along, we don't fight, there isn't a whole lot of tension, there's not a lot of disagreement. If you're looking for more out of your relationships, if you're looking for elevated relationships, then we absolutely must take risks. And here's the thing, my friend, is I am not only talking about your personal relationships. I was having a conversation with one of my team members. I think we were chatting last week. It's been a very, very busy week. So my days are kind of blending into one another. But I was chatting with one of my team members on my psychotherapy team just last week. And we were having this really incredible conversation about how the concepts that we bring to our personal relationships and the concepts that we coach our clients around in our work at the psychotherapy clinic. We're talking about this idea that why can't we bring those concepts into our professional relationships, right? Why can't our professional relationships also be marked by some of the pieces that we bring or want to bring to our personal relationships? I'm talking about things like having courage in your professional relationships, having a deep sense of integrity in your professional relationships, taking risks even in your professional relationships, really showing up as your best self in every single aspect of your life so that you're bringing that energy, you're bringing that intention, you're bringing that courage, you're bringing that integrity to every single area of your life. And I think where we have really got it wrong, unfortunately, is that we believe that how we show up behind closed doors or how we show up personally should be compartmentalized from how we show up professionally. And what I'd really love for us to think about as high powered, high achieving, high performing women who are all about up leveling in every single area of our lives is, can I begin to integrate who I am personally with who I am professionally? Right? Can I show up as the same person regardless of who is around me? And so, this concept of risk and reward in relationships, I want you to think about this concept as something that can exist in your personal life as well as in your professional life. So, I want to share with you today what I believe are four really important things that you can begin doing right away to increase the level of satisfaction that you have in your relationships, right? Or increase the reward that you feel in your relationships. There are some things that we can do that are very, very practical that will help us to increase how good we feel in our relationships, how we navigate those relationships, how satisfying and how fulfilling those relationships are for us. And in order for us to reap the benefits of these rewards, I truly believe that we have to sow seeds of risk, right? We have to put ourselves out there. We have to show up. We have to connect differently to ourselves, to who we are, and we have to connect more authentically to those people in our lives. Okay. So I'm going to share with you 4 tips, 4 strategies, 4 concepts that you can really begin to embrace today. And as I share these with you, I want to say, and I want you to know and understand that for me, transparency and vulnerability are the cornerstones of healthy relationships. And we're going to talk about those 2 concepts today. Okay. Transparency and vulnerability are the cornerstones of healthy relationships. So, as we talk today, I want you to think about your personal relationships for sure, right? If you are here and you are an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you're a clinician, you're a practitioner, you're a CEO, you're sort of in that business, you're a professional woman, and you're listening. I also want you to think about your professional relationships. And I want you to consider what it would be like to bring more transparency, more vulnerability into your professional relationships as well. What would that be like? Right? How would that change the team dynamic? How would that change the culture of the place, wherever your place of business is? Right? Whether that's your business or you're leading a team or you're, C-suite within your organization, how would that change the very fabric of your professional environment? So, one of the things I really want us to think about is that although it's not always easy to practice transparency and vulnerability, I really do believe that these 2 concepts are the most critical concepts in getting the relationships we desire. Okay. These concepts, transparency and vulnerability, are the 2 most critical concepts that will allow us to access and unlock the type of relationships that we desire. And it also allows us to live our lives on purpose. Okay. Transparency and vulnerability allow us to live our lives on purpose. Okay. So let's talk about what it looks like, what concepts can really allow us to move towards having more elevated relationships. The first concept I want you to think about is the idea of living authentically, really showing up, living authentically, allowing yourself to show up as you are, being consistent in your character, regardless or of where you are, regardless of who you are with, trying to really close that gap between your private persona and your public persona. Want to unpack this a little bit because it's such an important concept. I don't know about you, but I was certainly raised to believe not only in my family of origin, the home where I grew up, but also in a lot of the professional environments I found myself in early on in my career. I actually had like a little mini career before I became a therapist. I used to work in human resources and training and development for one of the big banks here in Canada. I worked in the back end of operations and I assisted in hiring, training, soft skills training for new staff. And so, one of the things I had always been taught, whether that was directly or indirectly, is that how you show up at work does not need to match how you show up at home. How you show up at work doesn't need to match how you show up at home, right? So the level of authenticity that you brought to your professional life was really not all that important. Right? You didn't really need to be authentic. You needed to meet the numbers, you needed to meet the bottom line, you needed to meet the deliverables. Those were the pieces that were really important. Okay? What I want to suggest for you, right? As a woman who is really looking to unlock, increase her success, who's really looking to leverage emotional intelligence so that she can move through her life with more confidence, more ease, so that she can actually become the woman who is able to hold her goals and is able to execute on her goals. If that's what you're wanting, if that's what you're looking for, one of the keys to getting there is to live authentically is to close the gap between how you show up in one space and how you show up in another space. When we have a gap, when there's a gap between who we are personally and who we are professionally, it feels inauthentic. It feels inauthentic. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. And what happens is it decreases our confidence because we feel like we're being a bit phony, right? We feel like we're not showing up as our best selves because I'm one person over here, I'm another person over there. These people over here see this version of me. Those people over there see this different version of me. And it really doesn't feel good. It eats away at your confidence. It increases your anxiety. And deep down inside, you know that you're not being the best version of yourself, regardless of where you show up and regardless of the environment that you show up in. Okay. And it's amazing how many different ways inauthenticity limits us. Inauthenticity really does limit us, right? So I think about it often in this digital age where, so especially if you're like an entrepreneur, or you're a clinician, or even some of my C-suite women that I work with, showing up on video or showing up on social media, showing up, I'm often interviewed on the local news here in Canada, right? Wherever that forum is, that platform is where you're needing to show up. If you constantly feel like you have to turn on a different version of yourself every single time you show up, that's exhausting. That is so exhausting. And it really does limit your capacity for success. It limits your capacity for contribution. It limits your ability to truly connect with people. Again, personally or professionally, it limits your capacity. So live authentically is the foundation for me of really being able to experience relationships that are elevated. Okay. You want to take off the mask of perfection. You want to be able to admit your strengths as well as your flaws. We all have them. So living authentically, showing up as you are is so, so important. The second piece that for me is something, I don't know, it's been this cornerstone of my own personal journey as my personal journey has intersected with my professional journey. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll tell you what the second piece is, and then we can unpack it together. This idea of practicing what you preach, practicing what you preach. And guys, I don't know if it's because of what I do for a living that the work that I do is quite intimate. The relationships that I have with my clients, even with my team, I consider those relationships to be very sacred, right? Like there's a very sacred space that is held in the type of work that I do. And so for me, this idea and this concept of practicing what I preach is it's just a non-negotiable. It's an absolute non-negotiable. It would feel terrible and it would be exhausting for me to show up one way with my clients, with my team, when I'm on TV, when I'm interviewing for a podcast, here with my community right here as you're listening to me. It would feel so exhausting and so awful for me to show up one way in this forum and then show up as a different version of myself, at home or behind closed doors or whatever it is. That would really feel awful. It would feel so incongruent. It would eat away at my confidence. So this idea of practicing what we preach is so important. And listen, that doesn't mean you need to be perfect. That's not what it means. Because for me, practicing what I preach absolutely means that I make mistakes. Absolutely means that I have conflict with the people that matter most to me. It absolutely means that I can disappoint my team, right? That I can let people down, that I don't always make the right decision. All of that is part of practicing what I preach. And all of it can be part of practicing what you preach. The key to success, the key to becoming the emotionally intelligent woman is that despite the fact that you're going to make mistakes, despite the fact that you're not always going to get it right, despite the fact that you're going to let people down, you're going to disappoint others, there's going to be conflict, there's going to be tension, all of the things that just make life as beautiful and as messy as it is, despite all of that, you are going to show up with courage and with integrity, right? That's what, for me, what it means to practice what we preach is that my words and my actions are going to be in alignment, right? What I say and how I behave are going to be in alignment, right? What I preach, right? What I put out into the world is going to be in alignment with my choices. Doesn't mean it's always going to be perfect. Doesn't mean I'm always going to get it right. Doesn't mean that I don't need to turn around and say, I'm sorry. In fact, I had one of these conversations with one of my team members yesterday. It's like, well, this didn't quite turn out how I had envisioned. This didn't quite turn out how I had planned it. And to just own that, right? So practicing what we preach, I think, is so, so important. I would really encourage you to think about this. It does not mean perfection. It doesn't mean you're always getting it right. But it does mean that you are choosing, it's a choice to show up in every area of your life with courage and with integrity. Which then brings me to my third concept that I want to share with you, and that is to be transparent. Be transparent. Be honest, take off the mask, take off the facade, take off the need and really challenge the narrative or the story that says, I have to show up perfectly, right? I've got to show up perfectly. I've got to always get it right. I've got to have all the right answers. Can't make a mistake. I can't, I can't go back on a decision that I made. Like, that's just not how life works. And if you're waiting for that, if you're waiting to have all the answers, if you're waiting to know exactly which decision to make, you'll be waiting a long time. You'll be waiting a long time. So we really want to be transparent. We want to ask for what we need from ourselves first. So we want to be totally honest with ourselves. And then we want to be able to ask for what we need in our personal relationships as well as our professional relationships, right? One of the things I am so proud of in terms of my team, one of the things I'm so proud of is that we get to have really honest conversations. One of my core values, and I share this actually when we interview people to work with us, whether it's on the coaching side or on the psychotherapy side. One of my core values is, we don't always have to agree. There's going to be disappointment. There's going to be letdowns. But what I need to know is that we're always going to be transparent. We're going to be really open. We're going to be really honest with one another, even if we don't like what the other person has to say. Okay. So be transparent. Say yes when you mean it and say no when you need to pull back, right? Like when you say yes, like say yes from in here, right? Not just with words, like really mean it when you say yes. And the only way for us to be able to really mean it when we say yes is to be able to say no, is to give ourselves the freedom to say no. Being able to say no is a critical component of any thriving relationship. It's a critical component. And I really believe that it's better to be uncomfortable for like 30 seconds when you say no. Sometimes it's a bit longer when you're practicing saying no, than to feel days and days of resentment after saying yes just to please somebody else. The final concept that I want to share with you, and this is a concept I will tell you probably took the longest for me to practice. Okay. This concept is the one that took the longest for me to practice. It's still sometimes difficult, right? It's still sometimes difficult, but it's the idea of showing vulnerability, allowing yourself to not only be vulnerable and to feel what you are feeling, but to also allow yourself to show that vulnerability to others. Okay. And I really believe that this, of the 4 concepts that I'm sharing with you today, the idea of showing vulnerability, it is the riskiest, of the four, but it's also the most rewarding choice that we can make is to show vulnerability. What happens when we show vulnerability is number one, it allows us to experience the healing that our soul needs. Okay. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and to show vulnerability, it actually allows us, I believe, it allows us to heal past hurts. It allows us to experience the healing that we need. There are so many incredible moments that I've had with so many of my incredible clients where there was vulnerability, both on my client's part and on my part. And that vulnerability was not only healing for my client to witness, but it was also healing for me. There's something really powerful that happens in the space of vulnerability. So, vulnerability is a really important concept. And risking, allowing yourself to be seen by those you love and reap the rewards of better, more elevated connections, that's really what does allow us to have those thriving relationships. And I really believe that the greatest relationships, including our professional relationships, you're going to hear me say that a lot, are built on a foundation of vulnerability. I really believe that vulnerability is our vehicle to more elevated relationships. Vulnerability is our vehicle to more elevated relationships. So, listen, I hope this was helpful for you. I really hope that you take in and think about these four concepts. Let me recap them for you. Live authentically, practice what you preach, be transparent, and show vulnerability. So, if you haven't heard, we're doing something kind of fun next week. So I will not be here for the EQ Skills Clinic next Thursday at 10 a.m. But instead, my friend, I will be here every single day next week, Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. to teach you, to coach you, to help you to unlock the success habits of high-powered women. If you are new to this group, or if you've been hanging out with us for a while, you will want to register for this event. This is updated content. We've got some new concepts, some new teaching, a new process of change. My plan for next week is to actually help you to become a more expansive version of yourself. Okay. My plan for next week is to actually help you to expand. It's about self expansion so that you can become the woman who can actually embody her goals. Are you with me? Are you hearing this? I want you to become the woman who can embody her goals. I really believe that the goals that we have, our goals are not about their achievement. Our goals are not about their achievement. And I say this as a recovering, achieveaholic. Is that a thing? I'm going to call myself an achieveaholic. I am a recovering, still in recovery, work on this every day. I'm a recovering achieveaholic. It was all about achievement for me. I'm going to get one more degree. I'm going to get one more certificate. I'm going to get one more specialization. I'm going to do, right? Achieve, 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 achieve. And now in my 40s, I've really come to understand that our goals are not about their achievement. So if our goals are not about their achievement, what are they about? Our Krista, right? Achieveaholic. I think we're going to coin this term, Krista. I think achieveaholic, if it has not been coined yet, I think we should coin it here inside the EQ lab, because listen, I think so many of us can relate to this idea. And I think our culture tells us that we should be achieveaholics, right? And really, I want us to think about, oh, Gareen, it's so good to have you here. Thank you so much. I'm new and very interested to join this amazing group. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you've joined. I hope you've signed up for our training next week. And if you haven't, Krista will help you get signed up. So if our goals are not for our achievement, then what are they for? I believe our goals are actually for like those desires that we have in our heart, the goals that we have in our heart, the reason they are there, I believe, is so that we can grow and we can expand and we can become the woman who is able to embody them. Okay. Our goals are there not for our achievement, but our goals are there so that we can grow, we can expand, and we can become the woman who is able to embody them. Our goals are actually for our personal expansion, they're for our growth. That's what they are there for. And so, if you have desires in your heart, if you have goals that you really want to access and unlock in your life, I'm going to show you, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to coach you how to become the woman who can actually embody and achieve those goals from a really aligned place, right? From a really aligned place, not from a hustle kind of mentality, right? So, if that is of interest to you, you're going to want to sign up for Unlock the Success Habits of High Powered Women. We kick off on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be here every single day, right up until Friday, teaching you a whole bunch of different concepts and helping you to practice these concepts so that you can really achieve and unlock success at that next level. Okay. Krista will drop that link in the bio, in the bio. I feel like I'm on Instagram. Chris is going to drop that link into the comments for you. If you've got any questions, you can reach out to her. You can reach out to me. We're so excited for this particular event. I will say as well, if you have joined us for other 5-day trainings, this one is different. We've updated content, and this will probably be the last 5-day training that I offer before the fall. So there probably won't be another 5-day training like this one through the summer. Okay. So if you're thinking I'll wait till the next one, it's probably going to be quite a bit down the road. So you're going to want to jump on this one and just make sure that you get registered. All right, my friends, it was so great to see you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I cannot wait to see you on Monday. Bye, guys.